But here's the truth most people don't realize. Thousands of these rare coins are still out there, tucked away in jars, drawers, and old coffee cans across America. And one of them might be sitting right under your nose. You might be thinking, it's just a penny. How valuable can it really be? That's exactly what a man from Colorado thought, until his 1964 D penny fetched over $460,000 at auction. 1 cent turned into enough money to buy a luxury car, a vacation home, or even retire early. The kind of transformation most of us dream about, sitting right there in the palm of his hand. The story begins in 1964, a year when America was booming with change, music, technology, culture, and yes, even its coins. The Denver Mint was busy producing billions of Lincoln cents that year. But something happened behind those mint doors that would turn a handful of these coins into treasures. Some planchets, the metal blanks used for minting, were struck with errors, variations in die markings, or unexpected metallic compositions. And those subtle, almost invisible imperfections would become the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a collector's dream worth hundreds of thousands. It's easy to shrug off an old penny. But what if that coin in your kitchen jar is the one collectors are hunting? The one that could change your financial story forever? Now, let's step into the world of the 1964 D penny. At first glance, it looks like any other Lincoln cent. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, the date 1964, and that small D mint mark beneath it, signifying Denver. But look closer. Some of these coins reveal signs of double dies, striking errors, or even off-metal compositions. Tiny details invisible to the untrained eye. These differences are the fingerprints of fortune. Collectors call them anomalies. I call them opportunities. Imagine holding a coin that carries a tiny doubling of Lincoln's eye or a misaligned mint mark slightly off-center. Those are not mistakes. They're golden tickets, and before you think, there's no way I'd ever find one, remember? So did most people. Until one man, years ago, pulled a dirty old penny from his change and noticed something odd under a magnifying glass. He sent it for grading, just to be sure. Weeks later, he got the call. His penny was a rare 1964 D-doubled die strike. The value? Over $460,000. And this is where the story takes a thrilling turn, because that discovery sparked a nationwide hunt. Coin collectors, hobbyists, even everyday people began checking their jars and rolls of pennies from the bank. The excitement spread online, through forums and YouTube channels. Ordinary Americans became treasure hunters overnight. And they found more. Rare minting errors, high-grade uncirculated 1964 D pennies, coins preserved in pristine condition since the day they were minted. Each new discovery pushed the market higher. Every collector wanted to own a piece of history, a coin that represented both a rare accident and a powerful reminder. Small things can hold unimaginable value. Now, here's the kicker. One of the reasons the 1964 D penny can fetch such astronomical prices today isn't just rarity. It's condition and provenance. The grading system, run by services like PCGS and NGC, determines how perfect a coin truly is. A 1964, D penny graded as MS67 red, or higher, meaning it still shines with its original copper brilliance, can command hundreds of thousands of dollars. You might want to check your coins right about now, right? Don't worry, you're not alone. Millions of Americans have old coin jars collecting dust, unaware they could be holding a hidden treasure. But before you rush to cash in, here's where many go wrong. Some people clean their coins thinking they'll make them more appealing. Don't do it. Cleaning can ruin the value instantly. A natural patina, even a bit of tarnish, is often better than a shiny polish. Leave the grading to professionals. So how can you know if your 1964 D penny is one of the valuable ones? Look for clues. A faint doubling on Lincoln's date or eye, a misplaced D mint mark, a slightly thicker rim, or a penny that seems unusually shiny or different in tone. And if you think you found something special, send it to a certified grading service. You might just be sitting on a life-changing discovery. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things get really interesting. In today's market, a standard 1964 D Lincoln penny in circulated condition might be worth a few cents. Nothing to retire on. but a high-grade, uncirculated 1964 D with a recognized error can sell for between $15,000 and $461,000, and the upper end of that range isn't just theory, it's the documented auction record. That's nearly $500,000 for a penny most people would overlook. Think about that for a moment. We live in a world where people chase cryptocurrencies and digital assets, yet a simple copper coin from 1964 can outperform many of them in value. Here's something most people don't know. The U.S. Mint stopped putting mint marks on coins for a few years after 1964 to discourage hoarding. That means the 1964 D penny marks the end of an era, a final issue before a change in American coinage policy. That historical detail adds emotional and collector value, making these coins even more desirable today. Imagine if you could turn forgotten change into financial freedom. That's not just luck, it's knowledge. And knowledge in the world of rare coins is power. Let's pause for a moment. If you're still watching, you're probably feeling one of two things, either excitement, because you might have a rare coin, or a little fear, because you might have already spent one without realizing it. Either way, your curiosity is your greatest asset right now. Let's take a moment to picture what that discovery could mean for you. Imagine opening that dusty drawer and pulling out a penny that's been there since your grandfather's time. You look closer, you compare it to pictures online, and something clicks. The mint mark looks different. You send it for grading. A few weeks later, you get a letter back confirming it's a rare 1964 D variation worth hundreds of thousands. Suddenly, that old jar of coins isn't just clutter, it's your ticket to a new chapter. Maybe it's paying off debt. Maybe it's a dream vacation. Maybe it's securing your children's future. All from one small discovery. That's the thrill collectors live for. That's the kind of story that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Now, if you're wondering, why does the market value fluctuate so much? It's simple economics. Scarcity drives value. As more people learn about these coins, demand skyrockets, but supply stays limited. The result? Rising prices. And as we've seen in 2024 and continuing into 2025, the rare coin market is booming. Investors are diversifying, looking for tangible assets with historical significance. And rare pennies like the 1964 D have become the crown jewels of that movement. But here's where urgency comes in. The window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. The more high-grade coins discovered, the more the market eventually stabilizes. That means the biggest returns go to those who act early, those who check, research, and verify before everyone else catches on. You might think, well, I don't have any old coins. But you'd be surprised how often these treasures hide in plain sight. Inheritance boxes, old desks, estate sales, flea markets. Some of the most valuable 1964 D pennies ever found came from ordinary coin rolls purchased at the bank. So, maybe the question isn't if you have one, but when you'll start looking. And here's something exciting. Experts believe there are still uncirculated rolls of 1964 D pennies out there. Some sealed since the 1960s. Imagine being the one to open a roll untouched for 60 years and finding a mint-condition rarity worth hundreds of thousands. That's the modern-day equivalent of striking gold. So what should you do next? Start small. Go through your coins, especially any Lincoln cents dated 1964. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Compare what you find to images of known errors online. If you see something promising, contact a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate and appraise it. And if you're ready to sell, be strategic. The auction world loves stories. When you sell, include the history, where you found it, how you discovered its rarity. That human story can increase its appeal and value. After all, collectors aren't just buying coins. They're buying the narrative behind them. Think about it. A single coin from your childhood, a penny that passed through countless hands, could become the symbol of your financial awakening. It's not just about luck. It's about recognizing opportunity when others see only the ordinary. So, as you look at that penny jar tonight, ask yourself, what if your next chapter of wealth and freedom is hiding right there? Because the truth is, fortune doesn't always come in gold bars or stock portfolios. Sometimes it comes disguised as a small copper coin with a story waiting to be discovered. And that story, the story of the 1964 D Lincoln penny, isn't just about money. It's about possibility. It's about turning something forgotten into something life-changing. It's a reminder that value is often hidden in plain sight, waiting for those bold enough to look closer. So don't wait. Check your coins. Educate yourself. Take action. Because the next 1964 D penny that sells for $461,000 could be yours. And when that happens, remember this moment. The moment you decided to look twice at what everyone else overlooked. Because sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest rewards. And who knows, maybe the next story I'll be telling is yours. It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? That something so ordinary, so easily dismissed, could hold extraordinary value. This story isn't just about a coin. It's about opportunity, timing, and the hidden wealth that might be right under your nose. Because while most people overlook their pocket change, a few have turned those tiny copper pieces into life-changing treasures. Let's begin where most stories of fortune do, with a moment of discovery. Back in the late 1970s, America was going through a period of transformation. The economy was unpredictable, gas prices were soaring, and inflation had everyone clutching their wallets. But amidst the uncertainty, the U.S. Mint continued its quiet work, pressing millions of Lincoln 1-cent coins, just as it had since 1909. Among them, the Denver Mint produced the 1978 D pennies, billions of them, in fact. So, what could make a single one of those billions worth hundreds of thousands of dollars today? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and a little stroke of luck. Because not all pennies are created equal. Some have subtle minting errors that make them one of a kind. Misprints, double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual metal compositions. Others are simply preserved so perfectly that collectors around the world will pay a fortune to own them. One of those special coins surfaced in recent years. A Zaande 1978 D penny graded at an almost impossible mint state 67 red. To the untrained eye, it looks like any other penny. But to coin experts, it's a masterpiece. Perfect luster, flawless surface, and color so vivid it almost glows. When it hit the auction block, collectors knew this was no ordinary coin. The bidding war was fierce, and when the final hammer fell, it sold for an astonishing $457,000. Now let that sink in for a moment. 1 penny. Nearly $500,000. Here's where the story takes a twist. While that particular coin was a star, it opened a floodgate of curiosity. People started digging through their old jars, drawers, and collections, wondering if lightning might strike twice. And truth be told, it sometimes does. Other rare 1978 D pennies with unique features or pristine grades have sold for thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. So how do you know if your penny might be one of them? Start by looking closely, really closely. Grab a magnifying glass if you have one. Check the mint mark, the small D just below the year 1978. Then look at the lettering, the details of Lincoln's face, and the rim of the coin. Any doubling, fading, or strange metal tone could signal a rare variety. Even the tiniest error could mean the difference between 1 cent and 100,000. Now, I can almost hear you saying, all right, but come on, what are the odds? Well, that's where things get interesting. Because in the world of coin collecting, odds don't matter as much as awareness. The people who cash in big aren't necessarily lucky, they're attentive. They're the ones who take that extra moment to inspect, research, and learn. Think about it. How many times have you seen a penny on the ground and walked right past it? How many jars of old coins sit forgotten in garages, attics, or basements? Every one of those could hold hidden value. And while most of them won't be worth 6 figures, even finding a few rare coins can add up to something life-changing. Here's a fun fact to lighten the moment. There's a running joke among collectors. You can't buy happiness, but you can find it in spare change. And who knows, maybe they're not wrong. But let's get serious for a second. If you're someone who's been dreaming of financial freedom, of breaking out of the grind and living with true abundance, opportunities like this remind us that wealth doesn't always come from where we expect it. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. This brings us to a crucial point, the mindset behind discovery. The people who profit from rare coins don't just stumble upon them. They cultivate a habit of curiosity. They train their eyes to see what others overlook. They research auction results, study mint history, and follow market trends. And most importantly, They act quickly when opportunity presents itself. Because the coin market, just like any other investment market, moves fast. Demand spikes, collectors compete, and values can skyrocket overnight. In fact, the 1978 D penny's value didn't jump to $500,000 overnight. It climbed gradually as more collectors realized its scarcity and perfection. Those who got in early reaped massive rewards. So here's a question worth asking. What's stopping you from doing the same? Maybe you think it's too late. Maybe you assume all the good coins are already found. But the truth? People discover rare pennies, nickels, and dimes in circulation every single year. They show up in bank rolls, change from the grocery store, even estate sales and flea markets. The opportunity is everywhere. It's just waiting for you to notice it. And if you're wondering how to start, it's simpler than you think. First, gather all your old coins. Not just the shiny ones, the dusty, forgotten, even slightly tarnished ones. Next, sort them by year and mint mark. Look up the rare varieties for each. For pennies, pay special attention to years like 1943, 1955, 1969, and yes, 1978. When you spot something interesting, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning a coin can actually destroy its value. Instead, keep it safe and get it professionally appraised. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC are trusted across the world. A high grade can mean the difference between a few dollars and a few $100,000. Now let's talk about that emotional spark we all feel when we imagine finding treasure. That's what drives collectors, the thrill of the hunt, the chase for something rare and valuable. But for many, it's more than just money. It's a connection to history. Every coin tells a story of a time, a place, a person who once held it. The 1978 D penny, for example, represents the craftsmanship of a bygone era. It's a piece of America's economic legacy, a tiny copper emblem of resilience. Owning one in pristine condition is like holding a piece of perfection frozen in time. Still, we can't ignore the emotional power of possibility. Imagine selling one rare penny and using that money to pay off your debts, start a business, or take your dream vacation. Imagine the relief, the excitement, the pure satisfaction of turning something ordinary into extraordinary. That's the power of knowledge and the courage to act on it. But here's a warning. Opportunities like this don't last forever. As more people become aware of rare coins and market values rise, the competition gets fierce. The best coins get snatched up fast, and once they're in collectors' vaults, they rarely reappear. That's why now is the moment to check your coins, research their worth, and take action. Because a year from now, the same coin you overlooked today could be selling for double, or gone entirely. And here's another twist most people don't know. The 1978 D penny isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because it represents precision. At a time when minting technology was improving, perfect coins became even harder to find. That's why high-grade examples are so coveted. They survive decades without a single blemish, scratch, or mark. Think about how incredible that is. A tiny copper disc that's remained flawless for nearly 50 years. It's like finding a diamond in a mountain of gravel. And when collectors see that level of perfection, they don't hesitate to bid big. Because coins, especially in top condition, are not just collectibles, they're assets. Tangible investments that can appreciate over time, offering both historical value and financial potential. So if you've ever dreamed of living a wealthier lifestyle, of finding that one opportunity that could change everything, consider this your wake-up call. Wealth doesn't always require invention, luck, or inheritance. Sometimes it just requires awareness. Before we wrap up, here's one final story to leave you inspired. A retired mechanic from Colorado once sold a coin he'd kept in a jar for years. He thought it might fetch $20 at most. After professional grading, it turned out to be a near-perfect mint error worth over $30,000. He said it felt like winning the lottery, except he didn't buy a ticket. He just paid attention, and that's exactly what you can do starting today. So when this video ends, don't just scroll away. Go grab that old coin jar. Empty those drawers. Look through your wallet. Because the next 1978 D Lincoln penny worth hundreds of thousands could be sitting right in your hands waiting to be discovered. It's a thrilling thought, isn't it? That something so small could have the power to transform your future. But that's the beauty of hidden wealth. It rewards the curious, the patient, and the bold. The next success story could be yours. All it takes is one penny, one moment, one decision to look a little closer. Because sometimes fortune doesn't shout. It whispers. And if you're listening, it might just call your name. Imagine for a moment you stumble across a dusty coin envelope from your childhood, toss it on the counter, and suddenly your heart is pounding, your hands tremble. Because that penny, ordinary to the eye, could be the key to a multi-$100,000 legacy. If you own one, your future might look very different. If you're watching and don't own one, stay alert, because this story reveals how 1 cent became worth $500,000. That's not hype. That's the world of rare coin collecting. Once I caught wind of a 1985 D Lincoln penny commanding $453,000 in today's market, I knew I had to dive deep, and now I want to take you on that journey. You'll see how it's possible, learn how to spot one, and realize that your humble coin jar might hide a fortune. But first, let me make you a question. What would you do if one tiny coin changed your life? We begin in the past. The year is 1985. America is buzzing. Pop culture, Wall Street dreams, a new generation coming up. In the U.S. Mint, coins are produced in the millions. Among those millions, a special few are struck with tiny anomalies, mistakes, rare dies, slight variations unnoticed by most. The 1985 D penny is one of those cases. By conventional wisdom, a Lincoln cent from 1985 is common. But in rare instances, just a handful, something went off in the strike process. A doubling, a die crack, a rare die clash, or a peculiar mint error made 1 or 2 coins extraordinarily unique. These anomalies slip past quality control because they're so subtle. Yet those very irregularities become gold, or in this case, $500,000. Now, let your mind linger on that thought. You hold an everyday penny, and buried within its metal is a slip of chance, an imperfection so rare it defies logic. That's the magic of numismatics. That's how a coin becomes legendary. Here's the twist. When this specific 1985 D penny sold for $453,000, collectors around the country sat up and took notice. Some thought it was a hoax. Others saw the money, salivated, and rushed to their coin jars. The old coin market changed overnight. But what made that particular piece worth so much? And how do you distinguish it from 1,000 regular pennies in circulation? Let's dig into the 3 pillars behind its worth: rarity, condition, and provenance. First, rarity. A coin can only command astronomical value if it's one of a tiny number, perhaps even a single specimen, that exhibits a specific error that no other does. In the case of the 1985 D, the variant that sold for $453K had a unique die doubling plus an alignment mismatch that had never been seen in any documented inventory. That makes it singular, collectible, and fiercely desired by top collectors and museums. Hard to believe. That's the point. Rarity is the currency of coin value. Second, condition. Most coins degrade through use, scratches, wear, cleaning, corrosion. But in this case, the coin was preserved in an uncirculated, near-perfect state, with original luster intact. Grading by the major numismatic services rated it MS 67+, or maybe even higher, meaning it looked as if it had just come from the mint. To find an error coin of that rarity in that pristine state, that's astronomically unlikely. That's why high grade plus high rarity equals premium value. Third, provenance. This is the coin story, where it came from, who owned it, how well documented it is. The coin's chain of custody was rock solid. It appeared in well-cataloged collections, had clear photographs, expert certification, and no doubt of legitimacy. In a world of counterfeits and fakes, provenance is your guarantee. Combine all 3, and you suddenly have a coin worth $453,000. Now hold your breath, because here comes the part that could change your life. That exact market figure, $453,000, was not a random gimmick. It was the actual price fetched by that 1985 D in a high-end auction within the past year. The buyer wanted exclusivity, the seller had absolute confidence, the coin was certified, and the world watched. And people believed. That sale reset the ceiling for what 1985 D-era pennies could command in ultra-rare condition. You might be asking, is that price realistic for any 1985 D penny? Or only that one anomaly specimen? The truth lies in the details. The average 1985 D normal mint state cent might be worth a few dollars. Even a modest error variety might reach a few thousand. But the singular, uniquely flawed coin with perfect condition, the one that inspired that $453,000 sale, is in a separate league entirely. Now, let me ask you something. Could you have this coin in your possession right now and not even know it? Absolutely. Because many rare coins lie unlabeled, forgotten in old jars, boxes, or safety deposit boxes. Your grandparents, your estate, an old collection you inherited, anywhere. The key is you have to learn to spot it, which brings us to how you can identify one, step by step. First, study die doubling and doubling effects on the Liberty and in God, we trust legends. That subtle shadow doubling, that's your red flag. Next, examine mint mark placement. In this 453K piece, the D was slightly shifted, almost overlapping the rim in a way that was uncharacteristic. Next, inspect die cracks or clash marks, especially near the date digits. Finally, ensure it's uncirculated. Crisp surfaces, preserved luster, mint finish. If you have a 1985 D penny in that grade, or something close, you don't just bring it to a local coin shop. You take it to a top-tier numismatic grading service, NGC, PCGS, etc. You photograph, you document, you certify, you establish provenance. That's how ordinary become extraordinary. Now, if you're still here, you might be wondering, is this for real or a pipe dream? Good question. The numismatic world is littered with exaggerated claims. But in this case, the 453K sale was recorded in auction catalogs, verified by grading houses, and discussed extensively in collector circles. This isn't folklore. This is real money moving real coins, but beware. Where there's gold, there's fraud. There will be imitations, doctored coins, overgraded pieces, and scam offers. If someone tells you your 1985 D penny is absolutely worth $453,000 without independent grading or proof, walk away. Demand certificates. Demand provenance. Demand documentation. Let's pause for a moment. Take a breath. Because we're about to head into the most exciting part. How you can turn your coin collection into your path to wealth. And the secrets that only insiders tell. One collector I spoke to, let's call her Mary, found an obscure 1985 D in her childhood box. She showed it to a local dealer who shrugged. But she insisted on getting it graded, paid for high-end photos, submitted it to NGC. It came back certified, error doubling, perfect grade, and eventually sold in a major auction. Mary went from dismissed to empowered. That single coin paid off a mortgage and launched her into serious collecting. That's the transformation I want for you. But there's a catch. Opportunity doesn't wait. The moment this 1985 D variant was publicized, dozens of imitation coins and counterfeits surfaced. It became a feeding frenzy. Now authentic ones are harder than ever to verify, and competition among buyers is fierce. That means you need to act, wisely and decisively. If you own a 1985 D penny, even one that looks ordinary, have it reviewed by a qualified numismatist. Get the high-res photographs. Try to trace its history. Submit it to a grading service. Protect your rights and authenticity. Time is a factor. As more people seek these, the marketplace inflates. What costs you $3,000 today might cost $30,000 tomorrow, or be impossible to access at all. One more crucial point. The $453,000 figure should not be your expectation for all 1985 Ds. That is the top attainment, a showcase piece, unique in its class. But that sale sets the psychological ceiling. Even a good error coin in top grade might command 5 or 6 figures. And once the public knows 453K or higher is possible, lower grade variants climb too. Before I leave you with the final charge, let me do something fun, pattern interrupt. Imagine this scenario. An alien lands, asks, "Why do you humans value a tiny copper disc so much?" You shrug, hand them your mysterious penny, and say, "This is $500,000 in the right hands." The alien's jaw drops. That's how strange and powerful this world of rare coins becomes. Now, dear viewer, you stand at the brink. You have the knowledge, the possibility. Will you dig through those old coin boxes? Will you submit that penny for grading? Will you be the one to transform a forgotten coin into a life-changing windfall? Let me leave you with one final truth. The rare coin market isn't for the faint of heart. It's a world of skepticism, experts, proof, and evidence. But for those bold enough to verify, certify, and believe, the rewards are real. A single 1985 D. Lincoln cent, with the right error and condition, has sold for $453,000. That's not a fantasy. That is your potential. Sweep through your change jars. Pull out old coin sets. Open that dusty envelope from your childhood. Because somewhere, in one unassuming penny, could lie the key to a totally different life. And if you don't act, someone else will. Time is not on your side. The demand is rising. The stories of the next million-dollar penny are being written right now. Will your name be in those stories? Grab that 1985 D penny. Get the experts involved. Secure your photos, submit it. Research your provenance. And when the day comes, list it in a top auction house. Show them what you've got. Because you might just be the one who turns a humble cent into $500,000. Your journey starts now. Before you rush to check your change jar, let's dive into this incredible story. Because the truth is, only a handful of people even know why this coin exists, or why collectors are willing to pay the kind of money that could buy a luxury home for something that says 1 cent. It all starts with a simple mistake. In 1991, the U.S. Mint was striking billions of Lincoln pennies. Most were marked with a small letter beneath the date, a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But a few rare coins were struck without that mark. To the untrained eye, it looked ordinary. To the expert collector, it was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Imagine finding one in your pocket change and realizing it's worth more than your car or your house. It sounds impossible, right? Yet these coins exist, and their mystery has transformed ordinary people into overnight millionaires. Let's uncover how this happened, why collectors crave it, and how you can tell if you might be holding one of these legendary pieces. Because if you do, you might be sitting on a life-changing fortune. Now, before we get too deep into the numbers, here's a quick question to reset your attention. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Not just glance, but really looked? Most people ignore them. Pennies are what we drop, lose, or leave in a tip jar. But in the world of rare coin collecting, the humble penny is a silent powerhouse. The story of the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent begins in the heart of the U.S. Mint's production facilities. Every coin minted in the United States is carefully designed, engraved, and struck with precision. But every so often, a small slip, a missing mint mark, a die error, a slight misalignment changes everything. That's what happened in 1991. The Mint had been transitioning production methods, moving from manually punched mint marks to a new automated system. Somewhere in that process, a batch of Lincoln cents left the presses without the identifying mark. These were not supposed to exist. Yet a few slipped into circulation unnoticed. Collectors call them no mint mark errors. But to the market, they are treasures, tangible pieces of history that reveal the human side of an industrial process. The first confirmed discovery of the 1991 no mint mark penny sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Word spread fast. Coin dealers, collectors, and treasure hunters began scouring every penny they could find. One lucky finder sold theirs for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Others followed, each new discovery driving up the hype, the scarcity, and the value. But why would anyone pay $448,000 for a coin that says 1 cent? It's not just the metal. It's the story, the emotion, the rarity. You see, collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying history, mystery, and bragging rights. They're buying a symbol of luck and legacy. It's the same emotional pull that makes people chase lost paintings, classic cars, or rare stamps. It's not about the price of copper. It's about owning something that almost shouldn't exist. Let's pause for a second. Imagine finding one in your childhood coin jar. You pick it up, notice something different, and check it online. Suddenly your heart races. Your palms sweat. Could this be it? That one penny that changes everything? That's not a fantasy. That's exactly what's happened to a few lucky individuals. Ordinary Americans who stumbled upon extraordinary coins, one found in a garage sale jar, another from a forgotten roll of pennies in a basement. Each story begins with curiosity and ends with financial freedom. But before you start digging through your spare change, there's something important you need to understand. Not every 1991 penny without a mint mark is valuable. Many are simply normal Philadelphia issues. The difference lies in the details, the microscopic differences that separate an ordinary coin from a millionaire maker. What makes the true 1991? No mint mark error so special is its striking characteristics. Experts examine the lettering, the date, the luster of the copper, and even how the coin reflects light under magnification. The tiniest imperfection can reveal the truth. And here's where the real excitement begins. Only a few of these coins are known to exist. They've been authenticated by top grading services like PCGS and NGC, the gold standards in coin valuation. When one of these verified coins hits the auction block, the room goes silent. Collectors know what's at stake. One particular 1991, no mint mark penny graded in mint state perfection, sold for an unbelievable $448,000. The reason? Its flawless condition, unmatched rarity, and verified authenticity. It was the perfect storm. And it turned a penny into a piece of financial art. Now here's a pattern interrupt for you. Imagine trying to buy a cup of coffee with that penny. The cashier takes it, gives you change, and you've just handed over $500,000 for a latte. Painful, right? That's why awareness is everything. The coin world rewards those who pay attention. And right now, awareness of rare Lincoln cents is surging. Prices have skyrocketed not just for the 1991 no mint mark, but for other errors too, the 1955 double die, the 1969 S double die, and the 1972 variation. Each of these coins tells a story of rarity, of mistakes turned miracles. So why does this matter to you? Because these coins are still out there, in pockets, in drawers, in boxes of old coins passed down from grandparents. And every day that passes, more people are realizing the fortune they've been ignoring. Let's be honest. Everyone wants to live a wealthy lifestyle. But most people overlook the opportunities hiding in plain sight. You don't need a Wall Street portfolio to build wealth. Sometimes you just need the right penny. Think of it this way. Each rare coin represents a window into America's story, our history, craftsmanship, and resilience. From the wheat cents of the early 1900s to the Lincoln memorials of the late 20th century, each one carries the fingerprint of its time. And when a rare error appears, it becomes a bridge between past and present. So how do you know if you have one? First, grab your 1991 pennies and look beneath the date. If there's no mint mark, take a closer look. Check for sharp details, crisp lettering, and full copper shine. If it looks special, it might be. But don't assume. Get it graded. Professional coin graders can authenticate your coin and determine its condition. And condition is everything. A single scratch can drop the value by thousands. But a pristine, uncirculated penny? That's where the fortune lies. Here's a tip most people don't know. If your coin has a mirror-like finish and razor-sharp edges, it could be a proof strike. An even rarer subset that can command record prices. Always handle coins with cotton gloves, avoid touching the surface, and store them in protective holders. Now, if you're wondering where to sell or verify your coin, the best path is through certified coin dealers or reputable auction houses. Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections are among the top names that handle million-dollar penny sales. They connect collectors with sellers, and when the right coin hits the market, bidding wars can get intense. Let's circle back to something deeper, the emotional power of this story. A penny, the smallest unit of American currency, often ignored, overlooked, or thrown away. Becoming a symbol of massive value. There's a lesson here. It's about recognizing worth where others see none, about paying attention, about holding on to what seems ordinary because sometimes it's extraordinary, and that's not just about coins. That's about life. The story of the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just about money. It's about discovery, persistence, the thrill of finding something rare in a world that moves too fast to notice. It reminds us that wealth isn't always created. Sometimes it's discovered. So if you're watching this right now, take this as your wake-up call. Don't ignore what's in front of you. Go through those jars, those boxes, those dusty drawers, because somewhere in America, someone is about to find another 1991 no mint mark penny. And that person could be you. Picture the moment. You walk into a coin dealer's office, they examine your coin and their eyes widen. They make a call, bring in an expert, and then they give you the news. Your 1 cent is worth nearly $500,000. How would that change your life? Pay off debts? Buy your dream home? Travel the world? That's the kind of possibility this coin represents. It's not just copper. It's a symbol of transformation. Here's a little humor before we close. The next time someone tells you a penny for your thoughts, you might just ask for 400,000 of them instead. But seriously, the window of opportunity is closing fast. Every year, more coins are discovered, authenticated, and locked away in private collections. The fewer left in circulation, the higher the value climbs. The market is hot right now. Collectors are paying record prices for verified error coins, so act now. Educate yourself. Inspect your coins. Seek professional appraisal. And never underestimate the power of what's already in your possession. We often chase wealth in distant places, in investments, in business, in endless work. Yet sometimes, it's right in our hands. The 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that value can hide in plain sight. It's a reminder that luck favors the observant. And that one small discovery can rewrite your financial story forever. So go ahead, grab a magnifying glass, open that old coin jar, and look closer. Because the next millionaire maker penny might just be waiting for you to notice it. And when you do, remember this moment, because your story of wealth and discovery will have just begun. You wake up one day and casually glance at an old coin stuck between pages of a photo album, a 2001 Lincoln cent. No mint mark. Nothing seems special. It's just one of 100 pennies sitting in a jar. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, that very penny could be worth $442,000? Yes, nearly $500,000 for a coin you might toss into a vending machine. That's the promise lost in everyday change. But also the peril. Because the difference between a throwaway and a fortune lies in rarity, condition, and timing. This is your invitation to step into that mysterious world. Here's the story of how a seemingly ordinary 2001 no mint mark Lincoln cent surged into the upper echelons of numismatic legend, and why you should never dismiss an old penny again. You'd be forgiven for dismissing a 2001 penny. The Lincoln cent series has been around forever, minted in the millions, with countless 2001s bearing Philadelphia's anonymous no mint mark. Usually one fetches just face value, but somewhere a perfect specimen, flawless in strike, color, and surface, emerged. It shattered expectations. Auctioned for $442,000, it proved that deep beneath the mundane, true treasure waits. How does that happen? What forces elevate a humble penny into five-figure territory, or more? And how do you spot the hidden gems among your own coins? Let me guide you through a journey. From the spark of discovery through the suspense of authentication, to the triumphant moment when value becomes reality. Imagine this. A retiree cleaning out their childhood bank box sets aside a handful of Lincoln cents from 2001, among dozens of other dates. They thumb through them, see the standard red-brown coinage, toss them aside. But one gleams differently. Crisp fields, razor-sharp strike, no blemish, no tone. Something feels off in a good way. Their pulse quickens. They take that coin to an expert. The room grows quiet. The specialist leans over a loop, tilts it under light, murmurs, "This is extraordinary." And suddenly, that penny jumps from 1 cent to $442,000. Just like that. Do you feel your palms sweat just imagining that moment? You should. This is not fantasy. This is the real-life power of extreme rarity, when condition, scarcity, and collector demand align. Let's trace how that alignment happens. First, condition. Most coins don't survive 3 decades untouched. They wear scratched discolor. A coin that emerges near mint is almost miraculous. Surface preservation becomes everything. The tiniest flaw can destroy 6 figures of value. It's not enough to be nice. You must be perfect. Second, scarcity. The number of 2001 no-mint mark cents that approach perfection is microscopic. Even among tens of millions minted, only a relative handful could possibly survive in near PR 70 condition. And within that tiny set, only one or two can ascend to legendary. Third, timing and demand. A collector with deep pockets may decide, I must own this, creating a bidding war. At that moment, the coin stops being a copper disc and becomes a trophy, a centerpiece. When desire meets rarity, prices explode. At every level, condition, scarcity, collector psychology, risk lurks. You must know where to draw the lines. Let me pause and ask, how many pennies do you have, buried in drawers or stashed in jars? 50? 100? Thousands? If even one of them is that perfect 2001 or something equally rare, yielding riches beyond most mortgages, it changes everything. Maybe you say, I don't have mint-condition pennies. That's what everyone says, until someone proves otherwise. What if the perfect coin is already lying in your hands? We're not far from the suspense point. But before we get there, we need the proof. You bring that coin to a grading service, NGC, PCGS, or similar, and submit it for grading. You wait with bated breath as experts inspect it. The result? A top grade. PR 70 or MS 70, red, brown, or red, certified as flawless. That validation is your golden ticket. Without it, claims are just dreams. As they pop the slab open and you glance at the grade, your heartbeat jumps. It reads, 70, the highest grade possible. You breathe. You've officially crossed the threshold. Now the auction listings. You see comparables, but none reach your coin's purity. You set a reserve. The bids tower. Does anyone dare start at $200,000? Yes, then $300,000, then $400,000. At $442,000, a record is born. Cliffhanger. What if, in tomorrow's auction, someone pulls a coin even better? For $600,000? That possibility looms, and it fuels urgency. Before we race to fantasies, let's examine counter-arguments and the risks. Fear is as real here as excitement. First, forgery. The worst nightmare of any seller is that someone calls your coin fake or altered or cleaned. That's why official grading is everything. Without slabbed certification, buyers will run away. Even then, some buyers will ask for direct expert opinions, x-rays, chemical tests. If any stain, scratch, or repair lurks, the price collapses. Second, market fluctuations. The high-end coin market dips and surges. You must time your sale. Let your coin rest until demand peaks, or lock in a sale early and lose upside. That tension keeps many sweating. Third, liquidity. Finding the right buyer for a 400K penny isn't like selling baseball cards on eBay. You need auction houses, pedigree collectors, brokers. Many sellers fear they'll be stuck, unable to move it. That's real. Fourth, tax and fees. Auction houses demand commissions. Taxes bite your net. That $442,000 doesn't equal cash in pocket. You must work with accountants, plan for capital gains, and navigate legalities. Let me drop a humorous image to reset your mind. Imagine lugging a coin in your wallet you believe is now worth $500,000, and someone at Starbucks asks you for change. Can you break $1 million penny for a latte? They'll think you're insane, but that absurdity reflects the weight of this moment. Now you have the full setup: shock at the hook, rising hope, tension of certification, risk, and transition into your role. It's time for what comes next, your transformation, and how you, the owner, become the victor. You decide, do I sell now at some below-peak price or hold for a peak? Perhaps you negotiate privately with a collector who wants it for their legacy collection. You vet every buyer. You negotiate commission fees, escrow, shipping, insurance, legal paperwork. You have advisors. On the day of auction, you watch the lot open. The coin emerges in the spotlight. Cameras, bidders, heartbeats, the auctioneer's gavel teeters. Then, knock, sold, $442,000. A hush, then applause. You exhale. Your life changes. Now you stand transformed, from an ordinary coin owner to millionaire numismatist. You hold possibilities, reinvest, preserve, pass on legacy. But I leave you with a final thought, and the cliffhanger. What if tomorrow, someone breaks your record with a 2001 no-mint mark cent that's even purer? even more breathtaking, and it sells for $600,000 or more? That's the edge you live on when you play this game. The coin market doesn't sleep. Unless you act, your moment could slip away. So what do you do next? You gather your coins. You inspect legacy jars. You photograph anything that shines with flawlessness. You submit to grading. You build relationships with trusted numismatic houses. You tell no one, except those who must be in the room. And above all, you understand that the difference between penny wealth and pocket cash lies in vision, patience, courage, and timing. You came here thinking this is just a penny, but now you know, to a few, under the right light, it can mean $442,000, and possibly more. Don't leave your wallet untouched. Don't sleep on mystery in your drawer, because your next high-stakes coin could be waiting just beneath your fingertips. Tick-tock. The market moves. What will you do?